This is IBM Museum, and this is going to be a rather brief video. I'm going through and wanting to test the screen of that IBM 7496 executive workstation. And I've got still the benched planer out there, but I'm running the video. Just I have that arranged where I can take that short lead out of the back of the unit. It's just supposed to do that little U-turn and plug into the planer, and I have that plugged into the bench planer. And I'll go through, and of course I have to power up both of the units, but I should not have any issues that come with that. The executive workstation unit, it still has the power connected to the planer. It's inside of it. Just doesn't have really anything as far as a video output, or it's not even going to beat by what we've seen. It'll halt at that postcode 07, but this is required basically to get the screen fully tested out before I go through and put the internals, any internals inside the case. And then probably the last test will be with that 720 KB diskette drive that's inside there. And I do have a replacement if needed for that. So I'm going to go through and power on the unit here first, just to get power to the screen. And we should go through to where we have, you can see just a little bit of faint. Okay, there we go. And that is visible. And we can certainly adjust as we go through. So the screen's on. We've got power to it. And let's go through and power up the power supply that has all this assembly. Of course, that would normally be internal. And I do have the postcode reader. I'll have to see how visible that is. But I do have it kind of taped off that it should tumble through the digits. Okay, and that was kind of a good sign. Although, look at the results there. Just that dash FF. And we're going through. We have power otherwise to the planer. I see initial indication and then just that it fails. So I'm going to do another trick, and that's going through. And I could have put a longer, basically, to come up with a little bit better arrangement. So I'm going to go through and unplug the monitor, and we will go through to power things up. We've got something happening here. Oh, okay. I didn't try and put them fully down because I didn't want the plastic clips to really come in fully on the side, because those are just so fragile these days. And that should have gone through, and it should have been able to use the 128 that's there. That's better. Okay, and we do have the display connected. We heard it test the diskette drive. And this is the place where it warns us to set the time and date. Typically tells you to press F1. And when you do that, it should go through and boot to DOS. But we, even changing the intensity here, and this is at the prompt where it's going through, probably asking for to set the date and the time. And interesting enough, it's going through and it still has that drive access light on. I want to go through, let's see if we can just do a Control Delete, or if this is in such a condition I do hear a little bit of the CRT whine to things. I still have that monitor powered up, and we do see an initial flash of color there, or I mean at least a little bit of and I even should have a T that I could go through and put a it's weird that it's still leaving that diskette access light on. Okay, so we're going to go through. Let's pull the video for this. And it'd even be kind of neat to go through and to put some other video into as well that the modder is known to be able to display. I can't tell if I'm smelling electronics operating, and certainly we went through before, and of course when we had the unit together, powered it up and weren't able to see any video. But let's do this. We're switched over to VGA out once again, kind of this benched rig. Okay. And I'm not sure what's going on with those codes at all. I mean, I ran this the other day with, I'm on the right keyboard and everything else. I do have that other, keyboard still plugged into the body of the executive workstation. Okay, that back sim will, I mean, I didn't have any problems with that the other night, the previous video. Okay, there, we finally saw it turn over. So we have that set date and time. Beep beep tells us to press the F1. Goes to boot DOS from the diskette. Since there's no autoexec.bat file, it prompts for the date and time. And I went through and even checked these risers with a voltmeter, and I've got over 3 volts off of these on the risers, and I don't know why it's not going through and saving the time when I do go through and set another time and date. So we do have video there. Okay. And we'll go through power up the monitor. This is just effectively just like going through and having a separate effective display that's got, you know, that MCGA connection. You said high density DB15. That's okay. So we do have something there. But that's all out of position. That's, you know, that's still screen adjustment. We don't have the ability for the intensity. Along with the camcorder recording this, it's more visible of this of that scan than what I see in person. But you can see the line down the center. Just that line comes up. And I would love to seal this up, even though I don't have necessarily the end planer that I'm going to put in there, because I want to go through and use this one. I want to have it to where that has the same brown appearance as the planer that's in there, and it'd be great if I'd be able to use that. But in the meantime, and of course I'll have to order the RAM deck, but in the meantime I'd like to go through and put this planer that has, just so I have on the bench, since I've seen that works, despite all the adjustments I've had to make. You know, I can pin down more stuff, like the Sims and everything else, but just not really and the same, press F1 and then prompting for the date and time. Going through and finishing up the boot process. Just that access light comes on, and then we're effectively at the DOS prompt again. And that final code, you know, it's completed postcode 13, which ultimately is hexadecimal, and that is the effectively the final checkpoint of those postcodes. And we got nothing. There's there's other imaging that'll have to take place. I would love to be able to go through, and I was looking at the let's turn off the planer, and it actually does look like, I was thinking there was less pins. We'll have to look at the encoding. In fact, it looks like there's a pin maybe in that. Yeah, on the top row. Of course, there's that missing pin for the keyway. And then the pin right above that is missing. And that probably just does the monitor ID for something like the monochrome. Sets something to where it's doesn't try to do any or identifies itself to the planar here as a monochrome monitor, most likely. But so we don't have any video, so there's further work even before I'd have to even go through and button that up. And so really still unexpected results. We don't see the system presenting up information on the screen or anything like that. Kind of a downer. There's still work. There's still some fundamental things in this unit, and whether that is inherent in this design and the other 7496 units, whether those are experiencing the same issues, remains to be seen. But it's just not an easy thing to plug this thing in, apparently, and get effectively any video out of it. There still seems to be some issues going on there. So if you enjoyed a little bit of this update or the progress through this, click on that like button, please. And by all means, subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Recommend it to your friends so that they can subscribe too. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.